your weight and Hare Krishna, all of you all.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Krishna,
Welcome. Yeah. So
Mataji, I'm not audible.
remembers today's chapter name, chapter number at least. Can you hear me?
Ninth chapter, the most confidential knowledge.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's the 9th chapter. So we are totally 18 chapters and we are midway. So today we are talking about the most confidential knowledge, and let's see what Krishna is going to tell. Right? And this chapter is very similar to the 7th chapter. Right? So we discussed about energies of Krishna. Both the chapters started with Shunu. Right here, both Krishna is telling that this is very important chapter, and he's talking in length. So what is the difference between 7th and the 9th chapter? The main difference is 7th chapter is more like a synopsis. And in the 9th chapter, Krishna is giving further details, right, as to what are the things which make the concept of from more confidential to most confidential, which means 7th and 8th chapter is more confidential. So the first subject matter which we learned is I'm not the body, I'm the soul is a confidential subject matter, right? So because that's a new discovery for us. Second one, which is more confidential, which we see will be about bhakti. So let's see what is the slight difference between that and this by end of the chapter. We'll get. Before that, let's start off our Mangalacharan. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimurandasya Jnananjala Chalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadatikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopeshu Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktin Vedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Suryavati Achatharinadharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vatsadika Brinda. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I can't hear. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much for the thing. So let's start the chapter. So we are entering into the most confidential knowledge. And let's pay our obeisances. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Mataji.
To Radha Shishi Govinda. So a very quick synopsis of the 8th chapter which we discussed is Krishna asks questions, right? And technically the broader questions, Krishna answers questions. As usual, Arjuna asks questions and Krishna answers, and what should be remembered at the time of death. And obviously the entire life is like an practice, and the death is like an examination. So we have to remember Krishna. So how do we remember Krishna is by practice, sadhana, right? By the sadhana bhakti, by meditation. And pure devotional service is automatically remembering, right? It's called Rahanuha Bhakti and Prema Bhakti. Automatically, you'll automatically think of Krishna only. Also, in each chapter, we compared the material and the spiritual abode. and Krishna's supremacy was discussed. So now what is bringing the 9th chapter? Right? I already told you 7th and 8th chapter is talking about confidential knowledge. So in the 8th chapter, Krishna explained about what's called the Ananya-bhakti, unalloyed, right? And he says, for someone who is Ananya-bhakti person, you don't need to think about what time you have to die, whether Yama Duda will come. It is said that a person who chants Hare Krishna once, just once in life, right, has no entry into the hell. So anyone regretting, oh my God, I can't see the hell. So do we have anybody like that? Right? Because one time you chant Hare Krishna, you completely lose your opportunity of going into your hell. So Ananya Bhakti is spoken. So what is the supremacy of Bhakti? Right? So chapter 8 still concludes that of all the forms, right? We saw Karma Yoga, we saw Jnana Yoga, we saw Ashtanga Yoga, but it says that the best form is Bhakti Yoga. Right? It's like the escalator. And chapter 9, what it does is it supplies the knowledge for performing this, right? What is the knowledge required? How do we perform? As I said, 7th and 9th chapter are very identical. And 8 is more like a tangent, right? Because it clarifies the conversation. 7th and 9th, in between whatever technical jargons are there in the 7th, is clarified in the 8th chapter. So what is it? What is the 5 areas, right? So I said it's Shrunu. So we start with hearing. And what are we hearing about? Aisvarya Jnana. So what do you mean by Aisvarya Jnana? Opulence, right? So if you get to know somebody, right? Let's take a classic example. 9th chapter I always tell is like love letter, right? Your love letter or your proposal starts at the 9th chapter. So when you're looking out or seeking an alliance, what do you see? You see his Aishwarya's, right? Aishwarya means his opulence. How rich is he? Where is he working? What is his designation in the company? What is the what is his salary? How many cars he has, or what is his qualities? So, right? So basically, before you know the person's character or quality, character you still can know, but quality it's very difficult to assess. But what you can really assess is his opulence, right? How many properties he has, what company he is working, whether his job is permanent, all that you know. That's called Aishwarya Jnana. So now coming to this Krishna, Acinta, Bheda, Abheda philosophy, right? So what is Acinta? Acinta means, I already told you, which is inconceivable. So if it is inconceivable, how will we understand? So it is inconceivable if we are trying to understand on our own. So it's a classic example, right? I wanted to read Bhagavad Gita ever since I was 12 years. And I managed to get hold of this book when I was waiting for a meeting in the presidency club for a client, and he told you can use my library. And at that time, I saw this book and I started reading. And I was very happy it was getting delayed because I was reading. And after the meeting also, I said, I would like to complete. So I was trying to read. I didn't complete the book in one day, but I just took it because he said you can take it home and complete. Okay, I completed the book, but I didn't understand it. So completing is like, we all study, right? So we know from first to last we finish, but then we feel that nothing we've understood. So that is Acinta, right? So thanks to ISKCON Mangaluru and Namnishta Prabhu, where he gave an opportunity to explain, right? Why am I thanking him is like, just like how you all learned the 18 days, so did I. So I came into ISKCON not even 2 years, just little less than 2 years back. I came and I attended the 18 days course. And now I understand what is that Acinta. What was not understood by me on my own is when it was explained by someone, I was able to understand. Right? So Bheda means different and not different. Abheda. So material, what is the relationship of Krishna with material world? So we'll see this, right? So we are also seeing like the guy or the girl, right, is nice. We've seen the opulence of the person. Now we need to say what relationship, how can you go, right? So that's the relationship. So we will also understand about those who worship atheists, asuras and non-suras, which is asuras, and all your atheists, agnostic and all come in that category. And Krishna obviously is the supreme object of worship and the glories of directly worshipping Krishna. So what are the glories? So what is it? We're going to see, we already said we're going to see hearing, and it's just a different format. So let's enter from 9.1 to 3. Do you recall why did Krishna choose Arjuna? What was the qualification Arjuna had? This is the third qualification which he's bringing it up. But he has mentioned this in the 2nd chapter, that I have chosen you to teach this because you are dash and dash. What does he say? 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all this it covers.
Friend and a devotee.
Yes, very nice. Anybody else would like to add? So Bhakta,
Jealous of him.
very nice, but not jealous of him comes only here. That's the 9th chapter, right? But the first two qualities is Bhakta or Saki. You're my devotee, one, and you are my best friend. This has to be understood very clearly because many times we always think that Arjuna is the friend of Krishna. No, yes, he is a friend of Krishna, but the priority before friendship comes is the devotion. So he was ever devoted to Krishna. So and here it says he's non-envious, right? So now we are talking about not envious. We will see a lot of examples on what envy is about. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Idam Tute Guhya Tamam. Oh, Hare Krishna. I'm not going to chant. We've got chanters here in this class. Come on, start. One of you all can chant and one of you all can read.
Shri Bhagavan Idam Tute Guhya Tamam Pravakshyamyanasuyave Jnanam Vidnyana Sahitam Yajnatva Mokshyase Shubhat.
Mataji, for translation,
Yeah, please go ahead and read.
We'll take turns and we'll read out.
No problem. Go ahead and read.
9.1. The Supreme Lord said, My dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly he's saying that you're never envious, right? So they keep fighting, they keep arguing, but there was no envy. And the most secret wisdom. So this is the most confidential, will be revealed, which will remove all the mysteries. Because anything we know, we need to know that, right? So Guhya Thamam, right, means the most confidential. Guhyam means confidential. Guhya Thamam means most confidential. Guhya Thara means just more confidential. So we'll see the most. So we are seeing this one, confidential knowledge. I already told you 2 and 3. And 7 and 8, what does it bring? It talks about what is the happiness or various energies, right? Jnana, knowledge of Krishna, and he's a supreme Lord. Just that comes in. And you just get to know an introduction of bhakti. In 7 and 8, it's more like an introduction. Here it talks, and you know all types of bhakti is there, mixed bhakti and all. So here it's totally pure bhakti. So that's the most confidential. One line, if you want me to tell, it's devotional service, not just devotion. Prabhupada has translated bhakti as not just devotion, but devotional service, right? So what is great? Yes. Now you imagine your parents come and tell you, we love you, child, we love you, child. And can you do all the work at home? We love you, child, we love you, child. See, we can't pay you fees, we can't buy you dress. Why don't you just manage on your own? Manage on your own, they tell, but that's with a different meaning, right? Trying to make you independent. But here, if you're telling that, no, you manage on your own, you buy your own dress, you eat your food, we're not going to sponsor your education, you just work part-time, but we love you so much. What is love? Or if your mom says, yeah, very nice, you're 3-year-old, now you go take your bath, take your books, pack your bag, pack your own lunch box, go, don't make me cook and all, but I love you so much. What will you tell? You know, what kind of love? Right? Any love, irrespective of relationship, even if you're having a cat and a dog, trust me, you'll do service. Anyone who has pets at home? Anyone in this group who's got pets?
No, Mataji.
I was having.
No, okay.
I once had a pet.
I was having cats.
Yeah, so if you've had the cat, you know, you'll go behind the cat, you'll try combing the cat, you'll do something or the other, right? At least you will give food for the cat.
Yes.
So what is that? That is service, right? So automatically you will be doing service. So it's a most confidential knowledge. And what is the qualification to receive it? Anusuyave, that is free from envy and by proper hearing through sources, right? And what it reveals, the material mysteries. So typically, this is the shloka, which is going to come up next. And so we have already seen the 9 process. So you can either follow all 9 process or you can follow one and perfect. So these are various examples. We've discussed this earlier, so I'm going to skip this slide. So we will, Krishna. So yeah, you can go ahead and chant. I'll chant this. I like this. Hare Krishna. Räja-vidyä Räja-vidyam pavitram idamuttamam pratyaksha-vagamam dharmyam susukam kartum avyayam. Hare Krishna. So he says this is the secret of all secrets. Why? Because this is the most confidential and it's the purest knowledge because it gives direct perception. So what is the direct perception it gives? What does it tell? So what's so great about it? Can anyone guess?
How to offer services.
Thank you so much. Perfect. So it's here you directly understand self. See, whatever we learned in the second chapter, now it's very theoretical, right? Here you will be able to understand directly, by what do you mean by direct perception is you directly see or feel it, right? So here by doing service, you'll automatically start relating to God. Just like how, you see a cat, she was telling, right? Vidhya, I have a cat. So she said that, yeah, so I do. So when you see the cat, you don't feel great about it. There are so many cats in the road. But the same cat which is in your house, you start connecting. Why? Because you serve it, right? It's not that the cat in the road and the cat here has got a different feeling. But you start serving, then you will feel that this particular cat has more qualities, right? So that is why. So first you get to hear, understand, and do. Now I'm leaving the cat and moving to the person. Same way we were talking about the love letter, alliance, and all that. So the more you start digging, the more you start hearing, you become more curious, right? So he says, Räja-vidyä, it's the thing and Guhya, right? The most confidential knowledge. So what does he try and do is how to get is directly by chanting. So by chanting, so what are you talking about? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Means what? It means that you are actually trying to ask Radharani for service. Hare Krishna, Hare means, oh, energy of Krishna. Who is the energy of Krishna? Radharani, right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Please give me a chance to serve the Lord. You know why? Because by getting that service, I will definitely get purified and reach this Susukam. I'll feel very blissful and have it's an everlasting peace. So this is what he's saying. Hare Krishna. So let's move on to the third 9.3.
अश्रद्धधानः पुरुषा धर्मस्यास्य परन्तप अप्राप्यमां निवर्तन्ते मृत्यु संसारवर्तमान्.
Hare Krishna. So he very clearly says that people who are not having trust in me will not be able to come. So obviously faith is very, very important. Faith, different levels of faith. Normally we say like, I trust someone 100%. So if I'm taking in this class and tell Bhumika, I trust you 90%, right? And if I'm going to tell, okay, Diya, I trust you 89%. And where are the others? Where is the, can you see the screen?
Yes, Mataji, we are able to see.
Okay, so I just had this one. Okay, yeah. So I trust so much. And if we keep giving various percentage, right? So if I tell Sai, okay, I trust you 95%, what will be your immediate reaction? Rest of what will be your reaction? How would you feel? You won't feel excited, right? You will not be happy that you get 90%. You'll be wondering why not 10%, right? Because we want trust to be 100%. So now the same thing applies to God also. So we need trust to be 100%. So that is what we do. But Krishna is very understanding. He says, okay, no problem. Even if you don't trust me 100%, I'm fine with it. Can you at least trust me a little bit? You have little bit faith, and then your faith will grow. So to have faith in Krishna is what we're going to see from 4 to 10. How do we understand the relationship? What has God done? Why should we love him? Right? So we saw in the 7th chapter, right? We saw shlokas. Even 14th chapter, we were talking about the various, in fact, Bhumi aponalo vayu kam buddhirmano evacha ahankara minyema vina prakridishtada. We're seeing all energies of Krishna. And now in the 9th chapter, again we see that he is, through his material energy, connects, right? So let's see what he says here. Hare Krishna, yeah, please read this.
मया ततमिदं सर्वं जगदव्यक्तमूर्तिना मत्स्थानि सर्वभूतानि न चाहन्तेष्वस्थितः.
Hare Krishna, please read this. Bhumi.
Yes, Mataji. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is called the Acinta Bheda philosophy, which means it is conflicting, right? It says that I am, all beings are in me, but I am not in them. What does it mean? So it is like sun. So if you look up, there is sun, right? Sun is there everywhere. You will see sun is even entering the houses, right? So we feel that all of us are open, but is the sun physically present? Even if you take, in fact, if we go to the next one, 9.5, let me read this so you'll be able to understand this in pair. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me, Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of the living entities and although I am everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation. So we all know that he is the source of creation, right? So that is not a doubt. But where the issue is, I am not in them. He is there, but he is detached. Example, if I am taking, let's say Tata CEO, right? Let's say the Tata CEO is actually going to US. He is physically present in US. He is not in India. He is not elsewhere, right? So he is not everywhere. But somehow because of his powers and potencies and with his people, he is managing. So Krishna is not attached, but his work is getting done. Especially with the material world, he is not involved. So he takes care through his power potencies, right? So through his expansions and through his plenary expansions, which are Vishnu, right? We've seen Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Shirodakshai, Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Through that, he will come over. So we saw Yoga Aisvarya, which means this inconceivable potency. And with that, still he is aloof, right? Example of aloof is he is like he is not dependent on anyone. So if he gives everything for us, but he's always lasting, but it's not like, if you're not there, I won't be there, right? So he loves everyone. Even as Narayana, Lakshmi is very fond of him. Sahasra Lakshmi, thousands of Lakshmis are serving him. But he likes her mainly not because of her beauty and opulence, but because she is a devotee. Not because she's very beautiful or not because Krishna is the most beautiful person, right? So that's the point. Hare Krishna, 9.7. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, Mother. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says at the end of the millennium, all the material manifestation enter into my nature. So he's telling that. So this is exactly. So there are three kind of deaths which happen. So one is a physical death which happens when the person dies, right? The body goes off, and so that's the first death. The second one, what happens is we saw Brahma's life in the 4th chapter. So before we get into the life, we have a day of Brahma, right? 4.32 million. So what happens during the 4.32 million years that night, when he sleeps, who will take care of that? So at that time, that's called the first level, right? First time, everything is completely dissolved, which means we have 14 planets. Leaving the top 3, rest of the planets are dissolved and they go into the stomach of Vishnu. This is one. So we saw 2, right? Our natural death. Second one is during the sleep of Brahma. And third one is during the death of Brahma. Brahma lives 100 years, but we know the life of Brahma. Can anyone tell me, or can anyone recall the life of Brahma? What is it equal to in human years? Can anyone tell me?
The big number.
Yeah.
0.3 million billion something.
Perfect. 3.11. Yeah, 311.04 trillion years.
Yes.
The life of Brahma. So after that, everything, including the top 3 worlds, go into hibernation. Just like sleep, right? I sleep, I get up, and I remember everything what happened yesterday. Not all, but broadly, I will know at least important what I have to do. So if I have an agenda that I have to study for exam, I will remember. Same way, if I feel that I have to go for a wedding, I'll remember. If I'm very angry and I feel that I'm so angry with this friend and I want to give a tight slap to the friend, I will remember. So that is what he is talking about, right? So he says, by my will, it is manifested again and again, and only by my will. So it's not like we are not dependent on Brahma, but he says that it is happening by that, and nothing can bind me, right? This work is not going to bind him. So even though he comes, he creates, and all, he's very neutral. He's not very dependent on any of the, any of the rules or regulations, or it's not that he has to come, he has to do this. It's totally independent. So that's a speciality of Krishna. So, we are seeing the Lord Krishna. What is his role? He is a primary creator. Brahma becomes a secondary creator, right? Because of that, this is how the whole cosmic manifestation is. And Krishna is not directly involved. So if you see here, very nicely it is written that how Krishna created and all that. We saw that in the 7th chapter, very similar to that. So modern concept, they say that it automatically happened. It's an atom, it's a black hole. No, nothing can happen automatically. It's all Krishna's creation and all the species, right? Can you tell me how many lakhs of species are there?
8 lakh.
84.
Yes, 8.4 lakh. Absolutely. So many species types are there. And we take a body based on our karma and our desire. Right? And how does he maintain? He is always present, right? As Paramatma, he maintains. And there is no direct involvement. Krishna is not directly involved in any of the creations, and through his creation only, through his energy only, he is running it. Yeah, 9.10. Go ahead. Hare Krishna.
मयाध्यक्षेण प्रकृतिस्तूयते सचराचरं हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय जगद्विपरिवर्तते. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, read the English one. Or
This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and this is producing all moving and unmoving beings. But by this rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says the material nature is working under my direction. So very clearly, Krishna is telling that directly under my direction only this particular material nature itself is working. Right? And everything moving and unmoving, Shara, Akshara, it is all created and annihilated again and again. We saw, right? Creation, annihilation. It's also Krishna's own power. So we saw his power, we saw his material energy. Just like how I told, 7th chapter also has this. If you see 7th chapter, 14th verse, 15th verse, prior to that, right? 14:15 talks about types of people which is going to come now. So typically 9.11 to 15 talks about your 14th and 15th chapter of 7th chapter. And prior to that, we saw from 7.5 various types of creations, which were what we discussed. Sorry. So what is 9.11 and 15? Non-worshippers. So who are non-worshippers? Many people, even when you come across, now it's very easy to find them. Earlier it was difficult. Right? So what do they tell? How do you know Krishna is God? Have you typically heard this?
Yes, Mother.
Yeah, we've heard, right? So we've heard, how do you know? How can you tell? So many people who believe that Krishna is just an ordinary human being or someone who's more powerful than the usual guys, just like Jackie Chan is powerful more than us, or Bruce Lee, or somebody else, right? So that is what people perceive, some of them, and they are none but fools, right? So Krishna is having body like us, but if they have that kind of a feeling that it is also made of veins and all that, they have to reach us, right? You are in level 2 and you are connecting here, and if you go to level 3, and when you come to level 3, I should say that Vishopanishad 8th mantra says this: Sapariyaga chukram akaram apranam yashna vidam suttam apapavidyam avi manishi paribhu swayambhu yata tatrato artan vyadadaksha shudivya samavya. Hare Krishna, which means that he has a body, he does not have veins, he does not have blood, right? Which means the anatomy of his body is very different. And now he's speaking about bad, he will speak about Mahatma. So he is now highlighting that, let me chant this, Hare Krishna. Avajananti mamuda manusham tanum ashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So ashritam, right? So what are these fools derive me that I come from human body, right? And they feel, I just explained this, right? So Jananti means understanding that Krishna is the truth. They don't know that. Ajananti is opposite, right? And Jananti means somebody who's aware. Jnana is Vijnana. And Ajnana is somebody who is not having knowledge about it. So what happens to them? Jnanis go up, right? The ladder. They start praying Bhakti Yoga. The others go down the ladder. They become animalistic. Avajananti means totally misunderstanding that Krishna. This leads them to material bodies. They go still lower. Hare Krishna. Yeah. 9.12 you can chant.
मोघाशामोघकर्माणो मोघज्ञानाविचेतसः राक्षसामासुरेञ्चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रिताः. Hare
Hare Krishna. So this very important word which you have to see is Ashurim. Ashurim means, what is it? Ashramam means shelter. But what shelter? Here he is talking about Rakshashim Ashurim. That means shelter of the Asura or the Rakshasa. Right? So he's very clearly telling that Ashurim Bhava. So yeah, please read.
Those who are thus bewildered by attraction by demonic and atheistic views, in that deluded condition, Their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Hare Krishna.
Right? So he says that whoever is bewildered are attracted by demonic and mystic groups. Because of that, they are completely foolish and they are totally defeated because they are asuras, because they've taken shelter. Can anyone tell me from the picture who's this?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Yes. Prahlad, and the father is Hiranyakashipu. Hiranya means gold, Kashpu means bed, soft bed. That means he was crazy of gold. So he is a classic example of greed, right? He's a classic. So we know, we will read later, the three roads or gates for hell is lust, greed, and anger. So he is a direct representation of greed, personification of greed, because he never was happy, right? He was wanting something, and he was accumulating everything. And now we see Duratma. So do you remember the 7th chapter also we saw 4 kinds of people, right? We saw, can you recall, anybody do you all remember the 7th chapter, Shloka 15? Do you recall what are the 4 types of impious people? That is only Duratma. Anyone you remember? Yeah, okay. So yeah, tell me, Prabhu.
Mudas.
Correct, Mudas first, very nice.
Then
Naradama. Yeah, grossly foolish. Third one is, this is a tough one. I found it difficult to even pronounce. Maya,
right?
Like your great philosophers, they're very educated, but they are covered by Maya. Just like how the sun is covered by fog, people will tell there is no sun, right? Kids will tell, Mama, no sun. But is it true? Sun is there, but just a fog covers, right? And the final one is Ashram Bhava Ashrita. This is the category. Right? You're totally stuck with that kind of thing. And they are attracted by the monistic group. Now we saw Duratmas. Now Krishna is going to teach about Mahatmas. Yeah, please go ahead and chant. Hare Krishna.
Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajantyananya manaso jnatva bhutadim avyayam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you can read.
O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Mahatma, he's talking about the category of Mahatma and Devim Prakritam. Ashrita. So last time we saw Ashrita as Asurik Ashrita. Now he's talking about Devim. Okay, fine, good. But why do they call Prakritam Ashrita? Why do they call nature as Devim? Can anyone tell me why? Because we don't want Maya Devi. He's telling that Maya Devi is Devidam. Why? Technically, Maya should be like demon, right, for us. Why are we calling him Devim?
They also tell like Maya Devi is Durga.
Sorry, ma, because?
They sometimes tell that material energy is Durga.
Correct, material energy is Durga. But why do you call the material energy as Devim?
Because it's the energy of Krishna.
Very beautiful answer. Thank you so much. Yes, because that is also the energy of Krishna. So it is also called Devim. So we will call any energy of Krishna as Devim. So that is what he is talking about. And what he says that under my protection of the divine nature. So you will come under Krishna's protection, which means Maya Devi will be scared to play it. And by the way, do you know the person in this picture? And do you know the story behind this?
No, my brother.
Okay, he's the 20th Acharya in our line, and his name is called Madhavendra Puri. And this is a very beautiful story. Normally, we'll cover it in the 18 days, but I'll just tell you. So, Krishna and Madhavendra started doing namas, right? Names of Krishna. So when he went to a village, and sannyasis move from one place to another. They don't even sleep under the same tree. because they'll get attached to the tree also. So they don't want to have any kind of obsession. So Krishna disguises himself as Gopal, and he says, Baba, there is milk and you have not had, please eat, drink. So Madhavendra Puri says, how do you know that? And why are you giving? He says, I don't know, mom told me to give it to you, because he says that nobody in our village will sleep starving. But Baba, please keep this pot safe, because if you lose the pot, my mama will scold me. So if it's us, no, I will drink it and we'll forget about the pot. But Madhavendra Puri, exalted, so he cleans the pot and keeps it, waiting for that small boy to come back after herding the cows. And he doesn't realize it's Krishna. Now, Krishna, after that, doesn't turn up, right? So he's waiting, and Madhavendra Puri also sleeps while he's doing japa. And in his dream, he comes and says, Baba, I'm stuck. And he runs, and Madhavendra Puri is also taking him along, going to the forest, and he goes near the tree and gets stuck. And the actual Rupa of Krishna shows up, and he says, I'm stuck in the tree. It is very difficult. I'm struggling. Can you help me? So Madhavendra Puri realizes that and takes the entire village, and the path, it's coming in Srimad Bhagavatam. The path is so painful that they have all kinds of the arched knives and all, and they cut, and they go there, and they see a tree where what has happened is, many years back during the Mughal rule, I think there was a particular priest who has hidden the Gopal inside the tree and bark, and it's like stuck. So I'll show you the picture at the end of the class. And that particular Gopal, right, he was able to bring it out, and he started doing puja, right? So this is how, so exalted. So he is the one who actually is in that same discipline succession of ours. Through him, he's in fact the super guru of Chaitanya. Chaitanya has one guru, and he has another guru, and he is only Madhavendra Puri, and such an exalted soul. And after that, he became the priest of that particular temple, right? And I'll show you the picture of that's called the Gopal temple. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please go ahead. Please read, ma.
Tatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya.
Sorry.
Nityayukta upasate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. These are the 4 qualities, right? Always chanting my glory. Mandav. Right? Satatam kirtayanto mam. Always chanting kirtayanto mam. Endeavor with great determination. Dridhavrataha. Lot of yat. Tantascha dridhavrataha at any point. Namasta, bowing down, right? Namasyantascha mam bhaktya, my devotee, right? He will bows down, right? Nitya yukta upashate, always. Nitya means all the time. Yukta means worship, right? He always keeps worshipping me with devotion. So that is what he's telling. So satatam kirtayanto mam, all the time he keeps with great determination. Namaste, he keeps offering, and perpetually he will worship me. So that's a speciality of Krishna. So this is all external activities of great souls. And summary is 9.15 literally is the summary of the 3 things. What are the 3 levels of realization of God?
Brahman, Bhagavan, and Paramatma.
Right. So Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Right. So Ekatvena, Pratyakvena, and Vishwato Mukham. These 3 things you should understand. Vishwato Mukham is simple, so I'll explain this. This is the Vishwarupa form. Right? And people who worship Vishwarupa form of God is someone who actually are neophytes, and people who, it's because Vishwarupam is not the form which is there in the spiritual world. It's only in the material world, and people who worship are those who are more of Mayavadis. They are devotees, but they are Madhavadis, right? And therefore, that is one category. So that is explained. And Ekatvena and Prakritvena are details which is talking about. Ekatvena means oneism, monism, right? So we are talking about Paramatma is different, Krishna is different. That is, Krishna is different and we are different. Paramatma is different, soul. Super soul and soul is different. But Ekatvena, they believe in only one, right? So now there are 2 extremes, right? Vishwate, all of the same similar category. And Pratikvena, we are going to see that, right? Demigod worship. So we are going to see that in detail now. So Krishna is the supreme object of worship. So we're going to enter the new session, which heads up was that summary, the previous one. Now we'll see in detail. Worshipping the universal form, worship. So which is what I just told you, right? Vishwato Mukham. So that is what is going to happen. And worshipping of demigods. Yes, go ahead and chant, ma. Hare Krishna.
Aham kraturaham yajnaswadhaham aushadham mantrohamahami vajyam ahamagniraham hutam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is telling, please remember me in the various forms like yagna, ritual, what you offer, the herbs which heal you, the butter, clarified butter is ghee, right? Which you offer in the fire, everything is me. So if you can't remember, Krishna is telling that you please remember me in this way. And what is he? Why should we remember is what we'll explain in 9.17. Yes, go ahead, Ma. Hare Krishna.
Tahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara ruksamaya jurevacha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says, I am the father, right? I already told you, it's original father. And the mother, the supporter, and the grandsire, everything is Krishna. He says, I am the object of knowledge. What do you mean by object of knowledge is what you want to reach, right? Your destination. So you are praying him to reach him. The process is also through him and the destination is also through him, right? And he says, Om. What do you mean by Om? Om is the pranama mantra, right? Om consists of 3 words, A-U-M, right? Akara, Ukara, right? And what does it mean? Akara actually means Krishna. Ukara, we are talking about Radharani, right? And Makara, we're referring to us. And all this is interconnected. We're talking about Krishna, his energy, and us. And he's saying in all the Vedas, right? Like Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, he says that he is very much there. So he's just talking about his relationship. So he says everything, Father, as a purifier, as Omkara, all the Vedas, Krishna. So he's talking about where and all he's personified. And 9.18, he's telling that he's a master, right? And he's a very dear friend. So he's talking about everything which is created and annihilated. Everything is because of me and my will. So he says, I control heat, sun, everything, immortality, and he's death personified. Can anyone tell me to whom was he death personified? Because what he says is, if you're good to me, you will remember me throughout. Otherwise, you will still remember me. How? At the time of death, you will see me, right? But that's not the right way. No, it will be too late. So for whom is he death personified? Can anyone give me an example? Sorry?
Pans.
Comes, yeah. Perfect answer.
Uncle. Even Hiranya.
Yes. So for Kamsa, he started because Kamsa always used to think of him, but not in the right way, right? So therefore, he was reminded as death personified. So 9.20, he is talking about those who study Vedas, right? You have a lot of priests who do that and they indirectly worship, which means he's talking about demigod worship. Though eventually it's him, right? What happens is they believe in demigods and they follow through that. Because of that, they go to, the Indra planet, which is Swarga. Why so? You have a plant, it's more sensible that you water the roots, right? Because it is healthier. Rather than that, if you try pouring water on the top of the leaf and wait for the water to fall, obviously it's a long process. And if you're just going to pour half glass of water, which is required for the plant, 50% of the water goes off on that. So root gets undernourished. Now, Krishna is not getting undernourished, nor Krishna expects us. But the fact is, obviously, it is not going to elevate us that fast. It's like a slow process. And after going to heaven, what happens? It's not like a permanent abode. It's like your visa expires, you come down. So you go to heaven, enjoy whatever credits you have, and you are back on the floor. So results of demigods, what happens is you do all this, right? You perform yagna. I need a beautiful wife, lovely child, all this yagna you do. And to get, for that you go to Swarga. And after that credit is gone, you enjoy and you come back. So that is what it is. 9.22, I'll go ahead. Hare Krishna. Ananya chintayanto mam ye jana paryupashate tesham nityabhiyukta mam yogakshema vahamyaham. Hare Krishna. So he says that most important one. He says, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. He's telling for the devotees who worship me. Can anyone say, he says that whatever you're having, I'm going to preserve. And what you don't have, I'm going to give. Can anyone give that guarantee? Oh, you don't have memory, I'll give you. You don't have, is there anyone who can do that, including parents or teachers? Have you come across anyone who can give you this guarantee? Yes or no?
No.
They may give you confidence that I'm there for you, but they can't give you that guarantee, right? It's more like a confidence or word, but Krishna is giving the guarantee because he has the power and he will deliver. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please go ahead and chant, ma.
Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha Tepi mame vakanteya yajantya vidhipurvakam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he very clearly says, whatever sacrifices you've done is only for me, but if it is offered without understanding the value, what's the point, right? So avidhi purvakam means without properly knowing. Vidhi means knowing, and avidhi, without that, everything you do is just like what I told, watering the leaves and leaving the God. So eventually you should know this. 9.24. Hare Krishna.
He sarvayajnanam bhokta cha prabhurev cha na tu mam abhijananti tatvena taschyavanti te. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says very clearly, I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifice, right? And we saw this during the Govardhana Leela. He lifted what happened, right? He said, let's stop Indra worship, because he wants to set an example, and let's play Govardhan, right? So therefore he says that whoever does not understand all this concept will eventually fall down. There's no point in doing so many yagna, because I am the Yagna Purusha. So there are two Yagna Purushas. Do you know who is the other Yagna Purusha? Who are the two?
Indradev.
Absolutely, Indradev. So all our prayers will be for Indradev, but the main Yagna Purusha happens to be Vishnu.
Krishna.
Yeah, go ahead, man. 9.25.
Yanti devavrata devan pitran yanti pitruvrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhyajinopi mam. Hare Krishna.
Very clearly, Hare Krishna. So he says that so basically wherever you are, Yanti Deva Vrata Deva. If you pray demigod, you will reach demigod. Pritri Yantri Pritri Vrataha. You pray your Pritri, you will go to your Pitriloka. Bhutani Yanti Bhuta. You pay the ghost, you will go to ghost loka, right? Yanti Mad Yajino. So basically, if you pray me, you will come to me. Obvious, right? So if you buy a ticket to Scotland, you will go to Scotland. You buy a ticket to Delhi, you can't go to Scotland. You'll latch in Delhi. So that all roads lead to Rome is very wrong. Because if I'm going to follow the road south, how will I go to Rome? I'll go to some other place, right? So it's just an idiom, but then logically speaking, everything where what you pray is what you will think, and what you will reach is also same. So finally, he's talking about the glories of directly worshipping. Yeah, please go ahead, Ma. Hare Krishna.
Patram pushpam phalanto yam yomi bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyu paratam ashnami prayatatmanaha. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna. So everywhere, very important shloka again. Everybody asks that, how do you know Krishna likes? He's given it here. If anyone offers patram, leaf, pushpam, flower, phalam, fruit, and toyam means any liquid, like juice, tender coconut water, all that, right? He says with love. Very important highlight, love. So it's not power. It's good if you have power show, but then he is telling with love automatically will reach me, is what he is explaining. And so Krishna has very clearly given his menu card. These are the items I like. 9.27.
Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajyoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat karushva madarpanam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's saying that, oh Kunti, all whatever you do, which you eat, which you do, which you give away, all you perform, you do it as an offering. See, this is not Ananya-bhakti, but he's telling you to come close, right? So there are two kind of things. So one is karma khanda is one type, right? Where you do your karma. But the difference is that you do a particular, in karma khanda, you do an activity towards God, what he likes. But here what he's telling, oh, you're not even there. But you, whatever you're doing, at least offer it to me. You're going to anyway eat badam alwa. You like badam alwa, but just give it to me and offer. You've decided to eat. So do that, right? Whereas Nishkama Karma Yogis will work towards Krishna. They will make badam alwa because Krishna likes it, right? But we will make badam alwa because we like it, but let at least give it and then come and give it to me. So that's the actual difference between the two. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, please do it as an offering to me, right? So the explanation which is given as Nishkama Karma Yoga. So 9.28 Ma, Hare Krishna.
Subha shubha phalairevam mokshase karma bandhanaihi sannyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mamupaishyasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says, by doing that, by following the renunciation, by following the principles, you will automatically not have anything inauspicious and you will reach me. So he's talking about the concept of sannyasism, right? that you will automatically come and reach me, is what he is talking about. 9.29. Hare Krishna.
Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshyasti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayite teshu chapyaham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, please read this, ma. It's important.
Yes, Mataji.
I envy
Yes, you can go on.
I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also friend to him. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is telling that, is he partial? A typical question comes, no, he's very partial. He takes care of that person so much. Why he doesn't take care of me? No. He's definitely not partial. He is so elevated and treats everyone equally. But obviously someone who's a devotee, right? So you have two kids. One child is 5, let's say 8 years, and you come across, or let me take, you are too young for kids. So let me just explain that you have two kids who come to your house, right? One child is 8-year-old and other child is 2 years. Both are your uncle's kids. Whom will you give more? Whom will you focus more? The 2-year child or the 8-year child?
2-year child.
2-year child.
Why? Because you like the 2-year child, not the 8-year child.
No, because it's a younger.
Yes.
Exactly, because the child is very dependent on you, right? A 8-year child will be able to open the fridge and drink milk, even if you don't give, if it's hungry. But the 2-year child may not even know how to ask you, right? So obviously that is what Krishna is telling. So whoever renders, so obviously in our case we are a little overgrown, na? So Krishna is saying that you have to do it with devotion. Whoever serves me, why he considers as a friend? Because they are totally dependent on Krishna. Arjuna completely depended on Krishna. So Krishna did not show partiality, but this is what happens. Now Krishna is going to also talk about people who do not, right, engage, and if they do something wrong. So you can chant Ma, Hare Krishna.
Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya-bhakti sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So yeah, please read this text.
Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So he says that anyone apicha sudaracharyu. So somebody who is doing such a great wrong thing, let's say that he's a devotee, but suddenly you see him drinking and smoking, right? Is he wrong? No, don't insult him, because he says that he is considered still saintly because he is still practicing devotion. So you'll be confused, right? You'll tell that, Mataji, then can I practice devotion and smoke and drink? No. It is basically sometimes the devotees are not so advanced that they will tend to slip and fall. They would have had an association with bad people and they would have been used to drinking and smoking. They come across, they won't be able to control. But that doesn't mean that Are, he's a bad guy, right? He will be automatically, Krishna will repair, fix him and bring him up. 9.31. Hare Krishna.
Kshetram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantin nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktah pranashyati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he's clearly telling that, declare boldly, my devotee will never perish. So much he has. Nobody can be a better example than Parikshit. Than Prahlad. Right? Father tried to kill him, but nothing could happen to him, right? So that is the guarantee which Krishna is offering, right? You can be rest assured, no one. And look at some more examples. You see, Gajendra. Yeah, Gajendra, actually, nobody could destroy, Krishna just carried him and it never expected it to be saved, right? So that's a speciality of Krishna. 9.32 ma.
Mabhi parthavyapashritya yepe syuh papayonayah striyo vaishyastatha shudraste piyanti parangatim. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he says that whoever takes shelter in me, irrespective of whatever they are, even if they are not knowledgeable enough like women. So lower birth here refers to not women. They're talking about Sudras, but women do not have a chance to go to Gokulam, right? Gurukul. So therefore, the knowledge level of women is not intellectual level. I'm talking about the knowledge which you acquire by learning is lower than men, because men used to travel, men used to learn, they used to go to Gurukul, they used to practice chivalry. They learn 64 arts. and women were not given so much of benefits. Therefore, their knowledge and understanding was lower. And Vaishyas, all of them. So in spite of all that, the moment you take shelter, so any Krishna conscious person is considered to be very intelligent. So even unqualified classes achieve Krishna by mercy. Even what is unqualified, right? Anyone knows the story of Jagai Magai?
Yes,
Jagai,
Mataji, let me
you know?
check it.
You know it, right?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, anybody, does anyone not know the story? Okay, since you are silent, I assume you all know. So that, imagine even him, right? They are so unqualified, but still Krishna gives them, right? So he does not see difference between rich, powerful and all that. That's a very beautiful one, 9.34, a very similar one will come in, in 18th chapter, and in the 65th verse. So let's see what it is. Hare Krishna. Manmana bhava mat bhakto matyanchi mam namaskuru mame vaishyasya yuktvevam atmana mat parayanaha. So very similar. So only difference is mam e vaishyasya, till this it's the same. Only the next word keeps changing over there. So he says, engage your mind always thinking of me, offering obeisances and worship me. Till this is fine. Being completely absorbed me, surely you will come to me. So there he says, Manmana bhava mat bhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru mave vaishyatya satyam te. So he's promising there, right? And he says that person, is very pratijaninte priyosime. He's very, very dear to me. Right here, he is saying that being completely absorbed. That's the only word he changes, which means that he is telling this is so important, and that's why he is reiterating twice. So he says, worship me, engage your mind in me, become my devotee, offer obeisances. All this 4, if you do, automatically you will come to my abode. Right? So we saw hearing about Krishna is Aisvarya Yoga. How do we worship, and what about demigod worshippers, non-worshippers? And finally, Krishna is the ultimate object of love. So with this, we conclude. Hare Krishna. Any doubts you all have? Let me just show you the Madhavendra Puri picture meanwhile. If you all have any doubts. Any doubts?
No, Mataji.
Just 1 second. So this is what I told, right? You saw this picture, and after that he comes in the dream, and after that, he goes, and this is how it was. It was all like stuck inside, and it's called the Gopala deity. So they discovered, they brought him out, and he started doing pujas, and this is how the deity, and it is still there. So that is the speciality. Hare Krishna. So with that, we will end today. And let's tell one time Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpada rubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam bhavyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavache Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. No doubts, I like the session.